I said, what? And Omar was taking these. He said, yeah, I saw them one day. I asked him at the time. He said, I'd seen them a couple of weeks before. So you're not taking these things? I said, yeah, I'm taking them. I want to stop smoking.
The tablets Omar Jama had been taking were Champix, exactly the same pills taken by Karen McGee. Now, Omar killed himself and Karen had tried. Both the McGees and Omar's brother all believe the drug Champix contributed to that suicidal behaviour, and they're not the only people making that link. I discovered that across Britain, more than 3,000 people have complained about adverse reactions to Champix. 260 have reported suicidal-related reactions to the drug. Of these, 210 said they'd thought about committing suicide. 16 had attempted it, and 10 had killed themselves. But 260 reported bad reactions, no matter how severe, sound like a drop in the ocean compared to millions of Champix prescriptions. I needed to find out whether these extreme reactions were just isolated cases. It was time to go to America, where the drug was developed and first launched. Over here, Champix is called Chantix, exactly the same drug, just a different name. Now, so successful were the results from the clinical trials that America's Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, granted the drug what's known as a priority review. That means they shortened the usual 10-month review period down to just 6 months. On August the 1st, 2006, Chantix went on sale. Prescriptions were written in their millions. Quit rates were soaring. In its first full year on the market, the drug brought in a staggering $883 million for its makers, Pfizer. But then the news reports began to change. November 2007. America's Food and Drug Administration admits it's received reports of patients attempting suicide while on Chantix. February 2008, the FDA goes a step further, saying it's increasingly likely that Chantix and serious neuropsychiatric symptoms are linked. In May, Pfizer updates warnings on its packs and prescribing guides, mentioning suicidal behaviour. That same month, Chantix is banned for use by all US pilots and air traffic controllers. In June, the story took a dramatic turn when it was revealed the drug had been prescribed to soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder. This is James Elliott on tour in Iraq. One night after he returned, his fiancée Tammy Hilburn found him in a state of breakdown. When he left the house with a gun, she called the police. This is the call she made.
He's highly unstable, and he may have a handgun. He's outside now.
Did he hit you or anything?
He did put his hands around my throat.
Stay inside, okay?
Yes.
I think there were 9 officers there, and 2 of them had rifles trained on my head, and those guys would not have missed. You know, they were trained to shoot people in the head. I antagonized them. You guys got guns? Shoot me. You tough guys? Shoot me. Don't be afraid. You'll be all right.
I stood out by the car for about 10 minutes maybe, and then I decided I did not want to hear the sound of the bullets hitting his body. I really didn't. And so I came back inside and waited until the police came to the door, and I was very relieved to find out that they had been able to tase him.
James Elliott was lucky not to have been shot. His standoff with armed police last February was the culmination of a breakdown which he blames on Chantix. As part of his treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder, the US government's Department of Veteran Affairs offered to help him quit his heavy smoking habit. Doctors there prescribed him Chantix.
I put the whole community in danger. They didn't, I did. Chantix did, my doctors did.
James Elliott did have post-traumatic stress disorder, but he's adamant Chantix played a role in his actions that night. This summer, at the US Congress, he spoke out against the doctors who'd prescribed the anti-smoking drug, also known as varenicline.
She told me that varenicline was a new drug. She didn't know very much about it, but it had some great results in getting people to stop smoking quickly, and that it might possibly cause me stomach ailments, and which in fact it did. It caused me to puke blood.
But no talk about the other side effects?
There was no talk whatsoever, and I asked a lot of questions.
Were there health advisories that came out from the FDA during the period of time that you were taking the drug?
There were 3, and I was not told about any of those until I requested that those FDA health advisories be sent to me.
James Elliott's case has been taken up by Roger Charles, a retired Marine colonel and soldiers' rights activist. He says vulnerable combat veterans were kept in the dark about Chantix.
When you have these warning flags, you have these serious alerts being issued by the drug manufacturer and the FDA, and yet they seem to just go on as normal at the VA. It's just bizarre. Somebody needs to explain how this happened, why it happened, who the key people involved were, and have them justify their action or inaction.
James and Roger's campaign has had startling results. The Department of Veterans Affairs has admitted failing to warn those taking part about the problems being reported with Chantix. They've now apologized and written to the 6,000 veterans who were given the drug. But the resulting publicity has done nothing to help the reputation of Chantix or Pfizer. Pfizer is listed here on the New York Stock Exchange, where in July it released its latest financial results, and they made for pretty interesting reading. Sales of the drug Chantix were down by 1/3 compared to the same period last year, and that's been credited to the bad publicity surrounding the drug. Mind you, sales were up almost 200% across the rest of the world, and that's because the company has been staggering the release of the drug around the globe. In the coming year, the drug will be released for sale in Turkey, Russia and China, its largest markets yet. So, sales of Chantix look set to rise yet further. But the pressure on Pfizer is also increasing. No one in Scotland has yet taken legal action involving Champix, but in New York, I spoke to a lawyer who has launched 5 lawsuits against Pfizer.
All the cases that we filed so far are attempted suicides or suicide cases. We have a 40-year-old man with 3 children who had no prior history of psychiatric problems. In fact, none of our cases have any prior history of psychiatric problems, who, out of the blue, went and put a shotgun to his mouth and killed himself. And another case is of a man who was a civil servant who went ahead and shot himself in the head. Another case is a woman, a middle-aged woman with kids who hung herself. All of the cases are just the most shocking, bizarre scenarios where someone just out of the blue commits suicide without any prior mental illness, without any prior depression. In all of our cases that we have, none of our clients have even been prescribed antidepressants.